What if some of the most powerful natural remedies on Earth have been growing silently for centuries, hidden in ordinary gardens, abandoned fields, and ancient monasteries? Long before pharmaceutical laboratories existed, civilizations survived using perennial medicinal plants that returned year after year, healing wounds, calming pain, restoring energy, and protecting the body in ways modern science is only beginning to understand. Some of these plants were once considered more valuable than gold. Others were guarded like sacred secrets, passed quietly between healers, monks, and families who understood something the modern world slowly forgot. And yet, many of these extraordinary plants still exist today. This changes everything. Across ancient Egypt, Greece, China, and indigenous cultures throughout the Americas, perennial herbs were not viewed as alternative medicine. They were survival itself. Entire communities depended on roots, leaves, flowers, and oils that could fight infection, reduce inflammation, improve digestion, sharpen the mind, and even support longevity. But somewhere along the way, much of this knowledge disappeared beneath convenience, industrial food, and synthetic solutions. Now scientists are rediscovering compounds inside these forgotten plants that behave almost like natural pharmacies. Some contain antibacterial agents stronger than expected. Others influence the immune system, circulation, stress hormones, or cellular repair. The strange part is that many people walk past these plants every single day without realizing what they are capable of doing. Few people still know this. In this documentary, you'll discover 12 medicinal perennials that have been trusted for generations to naturally support the human body. But this is not just about plants. It's about forgotten wisdom, survival knowledge, and the hidden relationship between humans and nature that modern life nearly erased. Some of these remedies may already be growing near your home. Others were once banned, ignored, or quietly removed from common medical conversations, despite centuries of use. And one plant we'll reveal in Topic 13 was once used by ancient healers during times of plague and crisis because they believed it could wake up the body's defenses in extraordinary ways. What modern researchers later discovered about it shocked even skeptics. But that is nothing compared to what waits in Topic 20, where we uncover the deeper reason these perennial plants may have mattered far more than simple medicine. A connection between survival, memory, and human resilience that almost vanished from history. Before we continue, take a moment to think about this. How many healing solutions were forgotten simply because the world stopped listening to nature? Because once you begin seeing these plants differently, even your backyard may never look the same again. And this is only the beginning. Imagine living in a world where a simple infection could become a death sentence within days. No antibiotics, no hospitals, no pharmacies glowing under fluorescent lights, only knowledge passed from generation to generation, and the plants people trusted when survival depended on them. Among the vast plains of North America, one perennial flower stood above the rest. Native tribes carried it during migrations, used it during harsh winters, and turned to it whenever sickness began spreading through entire communities. That plant was Echinacea. At first glance, it looks almost too beautiful to be powerful. Bright purple petals surrounding a spiked center, quietly growing under the sun year after year. But appearances can be deceiving. Ancient healers believed this plant possessed a unique ability to wake up the body when weakness appeared. And modern science may have uncovered why. This was never supposed to be forgotten. For centuries, tribes such as the Lakota and Cheyenne used Echinacea for infections, wounds, fevers, and even venomous bites. They crushed its roots, brewed its leaves, and treated it as one of the most valuable healing plants in their environment. Early settlers later adopted the plant after witnessing how frequently indigenous healers relied on it. By the late 1800s, Echinacea had become one of the most widely used herbal remedies in North America. Then something strange happened. As synthetic medicine expanded, many traditional remedies were quietly pushed aside. Knowledge that survived hundreds of years suddenly became labeled old-fashioned. But researchers decades later began studying compounds inside Echinacea and discovered something remarkable. Certain natural chemicals within the plant appeared to interact directly with immune responses, almost like a signal telling the body to become more alert when under attack. Think of it like an ancient alarm system hidden inside a flower. Modern studies have explored its potential relationship with immune function, inflammation, and respiratory health. While scientists continue debating its full capabilities, one thing remains undeniable. This plant earned its legendary reputation long before laboratories existed. Entire generations trusted it because they repeatedly saw results with their own eyes. Now pause for a second. Why would so many disconnected cultures continue using the same plant for centuries if it had no real effect? That question alone has forced many researchers to reconsider ancient botanical knowledge more seriously than ever before. And there is another detail most people never hear about. Echinacea is a perennial survivor. Unlike fragile seasonal herbs, it returns year after year, stronger and deeper rooted. In many ways, its growth mirrors the very thing people believed it offered the human body: resilience, endurance, recovery after hardship. Few people still know this. Some herbal historians even claim Echinacea became so respected in certain communities that families protected patches of it almost like emergency food reserves. Because during outbreaks of illness, access to these roots could mean the difference between recovery and disaster. But astonishingly, Echinacea is only the beginning. The next perennial was once feared, worshipped, and considered so valuable that ancient healers believed it could calm both pain and the mind itself, and things are about to get far more surprising. Before we continue, tell us something in the comments. Which natural remedy or medicinal plant has your family trusted for generations? And if you enjoy forgotten knowledge, ancient healing, and hidden survival wisdom, subscribe now, because some of the most powerful discoveries are still ahead. Thousands of years ago, traders crossed dangerous deserts, carrying a bright orange root protected almost like treasure. Turmeric was not merely seasoning in ancient India, it was survival. Warriors consumed it before battle. Healers mixed it into sacred remedies, and families passed its uses through generations with almost religious respect. In Ayurvedic traditions, turmeric symbolized purification, resilience, and protection against illness that could spread silently through entire communities. This changes everything. Ancient healers believed the root carried warming energy capable of restoring balance inside the body. They used it during recovery, joint pain, weakness, digestive discomfort, and inflammation, long before modern science even understood what inflammation truly was. Centuries later, researchers discovered curcumin, a powerful compound linked to antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity. Suddenly, ancient wisdom no longer sounded mythical. Some historians believe turmeric became so valuable because people repeatedly noticed the same pattern. Families who consumed it regularly were often associated with endurance and recovery during difficult conditions. Even today, traditional turmeric drinks prepared in villages across Asia still resemble recipes created centuries ago. Few people still know this. But while turmeric became known as the golden healer, another perennial earned an even stranger reputation, a plant ancient civilizations believed could restore the body both externally and internally. And the story only gets deeper. Picture exhausted travelers crossing burning deserts, carrying thick green leaves instead of medicine bottles. To ancient cultures, aloe vera was not decoration. It was emergency medicine growing directly from the earth. Egyptian healers called it the plant of immortality, and legends claim even queens used it constantly to preserve skin and health. But aloe vera's reputation went far beyond beauty. For centuries, people applied its gel to burns, cuts, wounds, and irritated skin because they noticed something unusual. It seemed to cool pain almost instantly. Long before laboratories existed, communities trusted the plant because experience repeatedly showed results. This was never supposed to be forgotten. Modern researchers later identified compounds connected to hydration, soothing effects, and skin support, helping explain why the plant survived thousands of years inside traditional medicine systems. Ancient healers also consumed aloe mixtures internally, believing the plant could support digestion and cleanse the body during sickness. Now pause for a second. How could civilizations separated by oceans continue using the exact same plant for healing? That question still fascinates historians today. Some rulers even protected aloe cultivation during wartime because medicinal plants could determine survival rates among soldiers and travelers. But aloe vera's cooling nature was nothing compared to the next perennial, a fiery root ancient sailors trusted more than medicine itself. What could make ancient sailors carry a root across violent oceans instead of extra food? Ginger. Across Asia and the Middle East, this underground perennial became legendary for calming nausea, warming the body, and restoring energy during exhausting journeys. Ancient Chinese texts describe ginger almost like living heat trapped inside the earth. Healers believed it awakened circulation and protected the body when cold weather or illness weakened people physically. This changes everything. Modern science later explored ginger's relationship with digestion, inflammation, circulation, and nausea relief. Traditions once dismissed as folklore suddenly started receiving scientific attention, but ancient communities did not need laboratories. They trusted repeated experience. During long voyages, spoiled food and sickness spread quickly. Ginger became a survival tool people depended on when no medical help existed. Few people still know this. Some herbal historians even claim ginger was once traded with value comparable to rare spices because preserving health during travel could determine whether expeditions survived. And while ginger became famous for heat and strength, the next perennial gained power through the opposite effect, cooling the body and calming the mind. In ancient Rome, peppermint leaves were scattered across banquet tables because people believed the aroma sharpened thought and reduced tension. But peppermint's reputation quickly expanded beyond fragrance. Healers across Europe and the Middle East used this perennial for headaches, digestive discomfort, breathing troubles, and stress long before modern medicine existed. They noticed its cooling sensation immediately affected the body in ways difficult to explain. This was quietly preserved for centuries. Modern researchers later identified menthol, a compound capable of activating cooling receptors in the body. Earlier generations described it as cooling energy. Science later discovered they were observing real biological reactions. Doctors ignored this for decades. Peppermint teas became common among families, not because of advertising, but because traditions survived through personal experience. Parents passed recipes to children. Grandparents recommended peppermint during sickness because the knowledge endured. Few people still know this. In some ancient cultures, peppermint was even associated with hospitality and protection, offered to travelers arriving exhausted from long journeys. Yet peppermint's refreshing power was still mild compared to the next plant, a remedy entire civilizations treated like natural armor against disease. Few plants in human history earned respect like garlic. Ancient Egyptian workers consumed it while building massive structures because leaders believed it increased endurance and resistance against illness. Greek athletes used it before competitions. Roman soldiers carried it during military campaigns. That alone says something extraordinary. For thousands of years, garlic became associated with strength, protection, and survival. During outbreaks of disease, entire communities hung garlic inside homes, believing it could guard families against invisible threats. Strange? Maybe. But modern science later discovered sulfur compounds linked to antimicrobial activity and cardiovascular support, forcing researchers to reconsider why garlic appeared repeatedly across survival traditions worldwide. This changes everything. Before antibiotics existed, people depended heavily on natural defenses available around them. Garlic became known as the poor man's medicine because even struggling families could grow it easily and use it during difficult seasons. Few people still know this. Across civilizations separated by geography and language, garlic kept appearing in healing traditions again and again, but hidden within ancient India was another perennial surrounded by mystery, a root people believed could strengthen the body against stress and exhaustion itself. Imagine a plant so respected that ancient healers compared its strength to a horse. That was ashwagandha. Deep inside Ayurvedic traditions, this root became famous for supporting endurance, resilience, and recovery during periods of physical and emotional exhaustion. Ancient practitioners believed constant stress slowly drained human energy long before modern stress even had a name. This was never supposed to be forgotten. For centuries, ashwagandha was prepared for warriors, workers, and people recovering from weakness because healers believed it helped the body adapt during hardship. Instead of targeting one symptom, the plant became associated with restoring balance itself. Modern researchers later explored its relationship with stress hormones, sleep quality, and nervous system regulation. Ancient descriptions of adaptation suddenly no longer sounded mystical. Think of it like armor for the nervous system. Few people still know this. Some traditions even considered ashwagandha essential during aging because preserving resilience meant preserving independence later in life. But while ashwagandha focused on restoring balance, the next plant became legendary for helping entire communities survive scarcity and weakness. In regions where famine and nutritional shortages threatened survival, one tree quietly became legendary: moringa. Ancient communities used nearly every part of it, leaves, seeds, roots, and pods, because they believed the plant restored strength faster than almost anything else available. This changes everything. Long before vitamins were discovered, people already noticed certain foods dramatically affected energy, recovery, and endurance. Moringa became known in some regions as the miracle tree because families surviving difficult conditions depended on it repeatedly. Modern nutritional analysis later revealed astonishing levels of nutrients packed into its leaves, helping explain why the tree earned such a powerful reputation. But ancient people did not need scientific charts to value it. They simply observed reality. Communities using moringa consistently relied on it during periods of weakness and scarcity. Few people still know this. Some villages planted moringa strategically near homes because losing access to it during difficult seasons could become dangerous. And while moringa nourished the body physically, the next perennial became associated with protecting something even more mysterious: the human mind. Why did ancient scholars burn sage before ceremonies and rituals? Because they believed the plant protected wisdom from being lost. Across Europe and the Mediterranean, sage became linked to memory, longevity, purification, and healing. Its reputation became so strong that medieval sayings once asked, "Why should a man die while sage grows in his garden?" This changes everything. For generations, healers prepared sage teas and remedies believing the perennial supported mental clarity and vitality. Modern researchers later explored antioxidant compounds and possible cognitive benefits connected to the plant. But what fascinates historians most is how symbolic sage became. Few people still know this. The plant represented preservation, not only of health, but of knowledge itself. Families cultivated it carefully, because losing medicinal plants meant losing survival wisdom accumulated over centuries. Some traditions even believed sage smoke could cleanse negative environments and protect homes during sickness outbreaks. Yet during deadly winters and epidemics, another perennial gained an even darker reputation: a berry people guarded almost like hidden treasure. During freezing winters and dangerous outbreaks, dark elderberries became one of the most valued remedies inside entire villages. Families transformed them into syrups, teas, and concentrated mixtures believed to strengthen the body when fever and weakness appeared. Ancient healers treated elder trees with unusual respect. Some even believed the plant possessed protective spiritual qualities. This was once more valuable than gold. Modern researchers later studied elderberries for antioxidant compounds and immune support potential, helping explain why the plant repeatedly appeared in survival traditions across Europe and beyond. But what shocked historians was the consistency. Communities separated by geography continued preparing nearly identical remedies generation after generation. Few people still know this. Certain families protected secret elderberry recipes, almost like inheritance, because during severe winters, those preparations became deeply associated with resilience and recovery. Now imagine living during a time without pharmacies or hospitals. Plants like elderberry were not optional. They represented hope. And yet, despite elderberry's reputation, one final wild perennial remained hidden almost everywhere, growing beneath people's feet while being ignored completely. Most people destroy dandelions without hesitation. Ancient healers saw something entirely different. To them, this wild perennial represented endurance, nourishment, and survival during difficult times. Its roots, flowers, and leaves were used in teas and remedies associated with digestion, cleansing, and restoring energy. During food shortages, poorer families depended on dandelions because they grew freely almost everywhere. This was never supposed to be forgotten. Modern science later identified valuable nutrients hidden inside the same weed many people spend years trying to eliminate from their lawns. Think about that for a moment. Humanity may have erased one of its oldest survival plants simply because modern culture stopped recognizing its value. Few people still know this. Historical records suggest dandelions traveled intentionally with settlers and healers because maintaining access to medicinal plants remained essential during migration. But one legendary root surpassed them all in mystery, value, and obsession. Ancient hunters searched mountains for it, like treasure hidden by nature itself. Deep within ancient Asian mountains, hunters searched for wild ginseng with almost spiritual obsession. Some roots became worth fortunes because people believed they restored vitality, endurance, and long life itself. Emperors demanded it, healers protected it, traders risked everything for it. This changes everything. For centuries, ginseng symbolized energy and resilience during aging, exhaustion, and recovery. Ancient traditions claimed the root strengthened the body slowly over time, rather than creating temporary stimulation. Modern researchers later explored compounds called ginsenosides and their relationship with stress response, energy regulation, and cognitive performance. Suddenly, ancient descriptions no longer sounded impossible. Few people still know this. Wild ginseng became so valuable that some hunters spent entire lifetimes searching remote mountains, hoping to discover mature roots hidden beneath forest soil. Ancient healers often believed true healing was not about attacking the body aggressively, but supporting its ability to recover naturally over time. In many ways, that philosophy connects every perennial in this story. For thousands of years, humanity survived by observing nature carefully. Every root, berry, flower, and leaf carried lessons written through suffering, adaptation, and survival. Long before laboratories existed, people understood something modern life often forgets. The human body was never completely separated from the natural world around it. These medicinal perennials were not magic. They were memory, living reminders of how earlier generations survived disease, famine, harsh winters, exhaustion, and uncertainty, using the resources nature provided freely. Modern science may continue studying compounds and mechanisms, but ancient cultures already recognized a deeper truth. Nature often works quietly, slowly, and powerfully over time. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not whether these plants helped people survive. History already answered that question centuries ago. The real mystery is why so much of this knowledge disappeared. And maybe the most important lesson of all is this: healing did not begin in modern times. Humanity simply lost part of the conversation it once had with nature. If this documentary changed the way you see these plants, leave a comment sharing which one surprised you most, because sometimes the oldest knowledge still carries the deepest roots.